Is this the fruits of your education, sir? Is this that specific policy, that frugal and honest policy, which William says renders equal justice to all men and to all societies of men, which leaves no room for anger? Is this, of all others, the specific policy inculcated by religion? Does the happiness and prosperity of a country consist in slavery? Does piety consist in belying a neighboring nation, in enslaving the citizens of another and reducing them below the characters of the brutes? If this is your Christian charity, sir, this your piety and religion, great God, please come down quickly in thy wrath and send thy thunderbolts and dash these sainted monsters into dust. Again, in the midst of all these complicated horrors, Willem has the effrontery to call upon the farmers of this land and upon all the simple, honest, labouring classes of people to look at this happy country and be proud that there is no lord or lordlings to put them from their path of industry, nor to tear them from the fruits of their honest labour and genius. In the name of God, what does William mean by this? Where has he spent his time? In what cellar has he been shut since the year 76? Does he not know, or did he never hear, that the greatest part of all manual labour that is done in the southern states is performed by slaves, and that they in general get nothing for it, except kicks and curses, and that their haughty, lordling masters live in idleness, drunkenness, and debauchery, and aggrandize themselves and families at the expense of the honest labours of the unfortunate people? Can he plead ignorance in all this? If not, by what name does he call such men who have got 400 or 500 slaves at their heels, whom they beat, scourge, and abuse in a most inhuman manner, and take away all their honest labours and industry to riot upon? Again, he adds that a nation must be opposed by some overwhelming necessity, some irresistible evil not to be avoided or guarded against, if she can be at all justified in deviating from the principles which ensure happiness, which are the principles of prosperity, which are the founding principles of religion. Do, for mercy's sake, sir, tell us what this country is opposed to that has caused her to deviate from all these principles. Is not slavery and its long train of calamities a presumptive violation of all these principles? What can a nation do more readily to destroy happiness, prosperity, and religion than to enslave her citizens? Is it not a species of every evil which a nation can be guilty of to destroy all these principles? Let us hear what Mr. Wilkinson says. I cannot but consider, says he, the accomplishment of absolute slavery as the greatest evil committed on the stage of this world. Consult upon this subject the weightier matters of the law by a friend to justice and mercy. Slavery is unjust, says he, because it is tyrannical. It is incompatible with equity and civil rights. It is the greatest of all tyranny. Heavy taxes have been complained of as a burden too intolerable to be borne by the unhappy victims of an oppressive government. But the wretched peasant is left at liberty to consult his own sensation of pain and fatigue, and use his ingenuity to pay the exorbitant demands of his oppressor. Meanwhile, he can enjoy at short intervals some delightful interchanges of love and duty with his family without being under the watchful eye of a cruel taskmaster. Laws to be just and equitable should protect the weak and ignorant and diffuse blessings upon all with a liberal hand. Just laws give vigor and proportion to every part of the body, but slavery aggrandizes one part of the community at the expense of the other. Under its pernicious influence, the head grows to an enormous size, while the inferior members are impoverished and wither away. Like some fatal disorders, it not only destroys the beauty of the body, but its first and best principles, its sympathy and harmony. Slavery is unjust because it destroys the rights of women and children. It is a mere state of barbarism in which neither the delicacy and chastity of sex nor the debility and ignorance of little children are regarded. The situation of the female slave is more deplorable and degrading than that of the untutored savage. For little as savages respect the rights of women and children, their women have exemption from labor and protection from insult during those delicate and painful periods which are peculiar to their sex, and their children are instructed in all the knowledge which is by them deemed either useful or ornamental. The degree of servitude to which savage women are bound is trifling in comparison with the task of a female slave. And insomuch as their husband and children reap the fruits of their labor, and in some measure repay it by acquiring a superior skill in hunting and war, their labor becomes rather a pleasure than a burden. But what is it to mitigate the labor of the poor female slave with all the precious burden of her affections at her breast? Slavery is unjust, as it destroys all the physical and commercial distinctions of labor and property. It is a mere monopoly of men and all their abilities and services.